time is of the essence. So I need to move through this as quickly as I can and try to answer some really big questions along the way. All things in threes. You know, those of you who have been with my channel for the past few years, 3 years say, you have a good foundation. We started at the bottom and built this thing up. And you guys have been along for the ride. But I have so many new subs, and this is moving into a way advanced stage now as we begin to open what I am going to refer to as the third ledger. There are 3 sets of knowledge. We've been given 2 of the choices, but the third has been hidden from us. The knowledge to know the ledgers. To have knowledge, you must know the ledgers. The da'at was removed from the tree of life, and this is that hidden ledger. And it really is about time. It's time for it to be apocalypsed. The uncovering, the unveiling. All things in threes. Right now, I'm going to keep saying that, and I keep getting pulled away. We're in a Saturn retrograde. We're in the midst of Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus going into retrograde. And this time, between now and the winter solstice, is what I call the dance. The dance has begun. When these two do their retrograde motions together, out of Capricorn, back into Sagittarius, back into Capricorn, it's like a waltz. And it's going to be so chaotic. Everything is going to be backwards. And especially with Venus in her own house going retrograde. Saturn in his own house going retrograde. Jupiter in his own house going retrograde. The implications are, it's just phenomenal. And then Mars just doing his thing through this. It's when Mars hits Cancer and goes into debilitation. Cancer. That's going to be the only break we get. I have been talking about this for over 10 years. This 6-month period between the summer solstice and the winter solstice of 2020. And to be sitting right between those 2 eclipses. And really, the card being played right now is Mars. Because it's all about emotion. That's what they play on. They play on your emotions. They are going to pull your heartstrings. And they're going to be pulled backwards. And they're going to play on your emotions to trigger you. To keep your adrenaline going. They know what triggers everybody. And if your little smartphone, they know who you are, where you are. They're telling you what to think by the ads they pop up, by what you talk about. So, yeah, triggers. And watch as Mars moves into these mutable signs. That's where the transmutation happens, remember? On the mutable cross. All things in threes. We're dealing with the 2 pillars to me, which are really the mutable cross and the cardinal cross make up the Chi-Rho, or at least the masculine axis of the cardinal cross make up the Chi-Rho, which is the mutable cross with this one, because this is who they're venerating. Cardinal fire, the Babylonian priesthood. You know, this is an ancient knowledge. We used to all have this knowledge back in the golden ages of Saturn. We had this knowledge. And the fall happened, which is right here, between Capricorn and Sagittarius, falling from cardinal earth into mutable fire. It was the fall. The story of the deacons, the first deacon of Capricorn, which is actually the third deacon because the sun truly travels this way. We just see it going that way. It travels clockwise, but we see it in a counterclockwise motion. But this is the story of Anakin Skywalker walking into the Jedi Temple and killing the younglings, the kids, the pure white lambs, the sacrifice, right here. And that was the fall. That was the last act before the fall. And Jupiter rules empire. And it was mutable. It was transformative. It's the lake of fire. And here's the wreath. This is Zeus in the age of Gemini. With his, they've always carried this as the symbol of power. But that's that story. And this is almost like a reverse of it. Because this time, it's restitution. Saturn's gonna take back over power in this deacon. In my earlier channels, I spoke often of the Picatrix. Yeah, the Picatrix. Book of Moon Magic. We've been through that too. And it uses imagery, symbolism to cast spells. Ancient, Oriental, Persian, Arabian traditions. This deacon its image is the pure white lamb. And that is the only place I have ever found that image other than in Christianity. But in astrology of any kind, it's the only place you find the pure white lamb. And then Thalem being the lamb, Bethlehem. It's so many things. It's everything. It's our guiding light. You start here. This is the beginning and the end. This is the start line and the finish line. And this is NASCAR. And you are one of those cars. You get a body, which is like a car. You're just inside of it. And we're going round and round and round the track. It's everything we do is some type of astrological freaking ritual. Everything. And we do it by nature. Because they've only given us the two pillars, we're stuck in this duality of yin yang. Right? The pyramid has 3 points. And the one on top is the one in power. And right now, we're on a water pyramid. It's all about water power in this age. That's why we have admiralty law. Before, we were under the law of the god of the fire, of the burning bush, the purifier. But we're moving into Aquarius, and that's air power, air force, air knowledge, pneumatic from the Greek. And it's the words, that the air power is the power of your word. It's the spoken word. It's the oral tradition, that hidden pillar. Actually, this knowledge has never been kept from us. They've put it in our face over and over and over again. We just did not speak that language. We, the masses, still do not. Your subconscious does. To me, the mutable cross, where transmutation happens, would actually be considered part of the imagination, to where the cardinal would be or the other pillar would be your conscious mind, and then the subconscious, that we do naturally, that built in. It's all in here, in the darkness. That's why Da'af on the tree of life is black. Saturn. Saturn black is actually Capricorn. But these two are one. And you see how they perverted the symbolism so much. They took Pan and made Baphomet out of Pan. Even Pan was a perversion, because after the fall, they knew the knowledge would be lost. It's the way things cycle. We go through spring, summer, winter, fall, and winter, only to do it all over again. You know, the winter is the death, with the promise of the birth in the spring. And then you do the work in the summer, but you reap the fruit in the harvest. It's all about the harvest. It's all about what you get out of it. And every age has a harvest, and that falls. They're harvested during the fall equinox. And this age is Virgo, is harvested in the fall equinox. You're taken away from the face of the beast. She's carried into the wilderness from the fall equinox into the winter solstice is the wilderness of Zen. So after the fall here, through the ages, the knowledge just decreased. It was put into the hands of a few that were supposed to, one, keep the knowledge, the priesthood, those on the cardinal cross. And then to protect the people was the fixed cross. They were to protect the people, and the people are the mutable cross. And to carry us through the ages until we return to the golden age where everybody's third eye's open and everybody's a king. You have your own crown. You have it now. You just don't know how to wear it. So this knowledge kept decreasing until we reached the opposite of that Capricorn Sagittarius, and that is the Cancer Gemini. And this is when the flood happened, Cancer. After the flood, we had the age of Gemini. This was an age of mutable air, that we got the current zodiacs. No zodiac I've found, maybe Göbekli Tepe, did I say that right, is pre-flood. But the rest that we have are Greco-Roman, Oriental, Persian. Oh wow, that freaks me out every time. I'm not even going to edit that out. It startled me. Let it startle y'all too. Maybe some of you need it. Kind of jolt you in or out of something. I have really come to know this circle, this galactic alchemical transmutation circle of nature. And I've learned it from many, many traditions, cultures, languages, sources that I possibly can. And people are sharing new ones with me all the time. When I run up on new information, regardless of what it is, you try to find where that information belongs in the zodiac. What pillar is it on? What cross it is on? What element is it in? What's its purpose? This is like 12 different books of knowledge. Earth, water, air, fire. In elementary, mutable. High school would be fixed, and college would be cardinal. That's why they call it the College of Cardinals. And you can't be a pope without being a cardinal. But we're in a mutable age, and I assure you, We have no leaders or popes. Almost everybody that's anybody is on the mutable cross that's in power. The others, they'll give us people on the cardinal cross, but they're puppets. They're being, especially the masculine axis. This is who's in charge. Has been for a long time. And now we're in the upside down age. Peter's dying upside down, which it's hard to identify because the symbol for the mutable cross is an X. So if you turn the X upside down, all you're doing is exchanging. It looks the same in appearance when you flip an X. You don't notice it's changed unless you know the colors that tell you what elements. So it's the power of the elements swap places. That's why we have moved from the church was the power for the age of Pisces, and now church and state. Now the state has more power than the church. So we saw that flip, that axis flip, but the world looks the same. Jupiter rules Pisces. This is about religion. Pisces is about groupthink, power in numbers, and religion. It's an age of transmutation and manifestation. This is where all the action is. This is like one big action movie. You have the Greek comedies and tragedies, right? Trauma and drama. So using, and it's a Mayan age. It's an age of illusion. So when you flip that puts Mercury in power. And Mercury's the trickster, right? He's the child that's born of the Virgin, caught up into Gemini, the heir, to rule the nations with the rod of iron. But he's only got a short time, because his rule is only at the end of the age of Pisces, when Peter is crucified upside down. So now Mercury's in power instead of Jupiter. Jupiter in this age is actually considered benevolent. He's the god of grace and mercy, but that has flipped. And now Mercury is in charge, and instead of Mercury being Buddha, as in Gemini, he's now Loki, the trickster, and he rules commerce. So the bankers are in power. They're still ruled because they make all their money off of war. So they're still carrying that rod of iron, Mars. Mars in Aries is the rod of iron. And so the church, which is Jupiter, goes along with it, because the church makes money off of war. And it's all mutable except for that cardinal war. That's their authority. That's their power. This is who gives them their authority. It's the dragon that gives them their power. You know, when we read the book of Revelations, it can be read in many ways. Everybody that reads it gets a particular unique translation that is congruent with their knowledge base, their programming. So we all interpret it our own way. But when you use alchemy, when you use symbology, when you use astrology, you see an intended interpretation that's never presented to us by academia, by the church, by anybody. It's just not there. It's embedded in, but it is embedded in tradition, and it is shown to us in books and movies, and it is an expression of nature itself that they're attempting this knowledge. So we can look at the stars, or we can look at the earth, or we can look at ourselves, and we can attain all this knowledge. It's in nature, because that's all this is. It's the only thing that's magic is nature. which makes this whole place magic. It's not about religion. It's not about good versus evil. It's not even about duality. But that's the matrix, the mindset that they want to keep you in. And, you know, that's keeping your conscious mind entrapped by fear that's being induced from the subconscious mind. Go into your imagination station. Go within. When you close your eyes, your imagination turns on. Neptune, right? Your Uranus, your conscious mind should be being purified right now. Pluto in this mix of Capricorn and Jupiter in cardinal Earth, freaking grounded right now. This is the sign of creation. This is the age of let there be creation. It's feminine. It's cardinal feminine. Just as Cancer was the flood and destruction, Capricorn is the opposite of that. It's the creation. And that's where everybody's at right now, with Neptune in the middle. Neptune's still in air in Aquarius. Excellent place for Neptune right now. So you're through all this mess. I don't get away from the fear porn. Just get away from the TV right now in politics. It's poison. You know, they're so busy getting you using your adrenaline, Mars, to put your imagination and your conscious mind in fear so that you manifest their reality. Using groupthink, they're doing it to the whole masses. When what you're supposed to be doing is manifesting your own reality. Every time Saturn and Jupiter meet, it's a year-long thing that happens. It starts on, because it's happening on the winter solstice, it will start opposite that on the summer solstice, and it'll go to the winter solstice and back around to the summer solstice. It'll have to go one time around. That's a seal. The zodiac is a seal. It's a sigil magic seal. So whatever you're doing this year is going to set the stage for the next 20 years of your life. For everybody. On a massive scale, on a worldly scale, collective, subconscious scale, and on an individual scale. And they're trying to get everybody on one of those two pillars so that they remain in power and keep the third pillar weak. Remember, everything in thirds. And I saw one beast come up out of the ocean, water, and one come up out of the earth. And know what you're... Listen, it's all about the adjectives. It's all about the descriptive words. There are the way grammar, which is how I learned all of this. Pay attention to what I'm telling you, because the sentence structure in English is different than other languages around the world, regardless of whether they're Eastern or Western tradition, whether they're masculine languages or feminine languages, regardless of what their letters look like. There's something about the spoken word. It's part of the manifestation process. We're told, and Pharaoh said, let it be written, then let it be done. So he had the thought, then the words, 2, then the written, 3, and then the action, done, 4. And he sealed it with the speech, with the word. It's sealed when you speak it. You be careful what you ask for. We speak things into existence. That's the power of air. Right now, we're in water world, but they're doing all these, the people in power are doing all the fire rituals. It's all about the fire rituals. And of course we're upside down, so it's mutable earth rituals, and they're robbing her. They're raping her. She's the whore. Remember that word? That word, you know, it means more than that. This is Spica. She's the maiden. Let's go there. She's the maiden. It don't mean, it can be translated virgin, but it don't necessarily mean that. But we have to look at the legends and the stories we're told. And you need to look at as many as you can find about the maiden, or the undefended one. And they've just raped her. Everything about the earth. Now, as a species, we're sick because the earth is sick. But it is part of the process. You have to let all the scum come to the top so you can wipe it off. It's part of the alchemical process. It's like letting the wheat grow with the tares. And you wait to the end of the age, to the harvest. And for the last age, Virgo's been in the harvest position. Now, Leo moves into that position. And Taurus moves to the summer solstice. Aquarius moves to the spring equinox. And Scorpio moves to winter, or the death, the scorpion. The hero dies. When we are fully in, you'll notice at the end of the movies, the hero will die. But he'll be resurrected 3 days later. It's the resurrection story where the sun dies and is born again on the winter solstice. And that's been on the mutable cross in Sagittarius. But that's going to move to the real symbol here, which is the eagle. The eagle, which is the left hand of the fixed cross. And this part, the scorpion will die, the hero will die, the eagle will die, but it'll resurrect, and the eagle carries the knowledge or the wisdom of Libra that's been removed here. Quetzalcoatl, feathered serpent. We have our zodiac's like a Frankenstein. They call it Greco-Roman, but most of our symbols come from the Orient, the Persian, the Asian, many names for it. But I like to go through all of the traditions, learn as much as you can. Our New Testament is basically out of the Egyptian, more so than any other. Really learned that one. That's why Freemasonry is so popular. But if you'll take the time to learn alchemy and astrology first, and symbology, then those books will open up to you. And it's the hidden knowledge. So the most important thing right now to me is Neptune. Something nobody's talking about, regardless of who all's retrograde. We've been through the retrogrades. We know what they do. We've been talking about this 6 months for 10 years. We know what's coming. It's just utter chaos. But we also know how it ends. And all we have to do is just wait. But you need to pull yourself together. You need to find your cross. You need to find your path. You need to understand the 3 different ways and what's going on. And how you're being torn between 2. And neither one of them are there to serve you. Only you can serve you. Nobody can walk your path but you. So, and you manifest your own reality. You just let the TV and education, academia, or other people around you, YouTube, books, whatever, you let them tell you what your future is. When we have a set template, but the choices are ours. The thing to know is you have more than 2 choices. There's always that third option that you just have to find for yourself. It's the middle path. It's the straight and narrow. It's not the two shoved together. It's not the two towers slammed into one. That ain't working. It didn't work. We're watching how their ritual, their 9/11 ritual, was to make the two pillars into one and tell you that was the third pillar when it's not. And it's coming down. It's a false pillar. You know, like I said, our imagination is the most powerful thing here. It's our creative tool. And I have been contemplating a lot about people that have no inner vision. They can't produce the image in their mind. This kind of weirds me out. Everybody should be able to do this. Do I think these people don't have a soul? Oh no, they most definitely do. But there's something they're doing to keep the pineal gland shut down. It's in all of their writings. It's like, I think that's the great work, is to, how do we remain, the golden age is coming, how do we remain in power forever? Because empire has been in power for 10 ages. 10. They just keep marching around the world, changing their symbols, dancing to a different tune, but the same group of people have been doing this for far too long. It's a generational family thing. They were entrusted with this knowledge to keep it for us, and they've taken it and used it against us. And their time is up. It's over. And everything I see is both pillars are desperate. It's do or die for them. And both of those pillars come down. Both of them. In that day, you will have no need of the sun or the moon, for I am with you. He's always been with us. Your higher self has always been with you. You're looking for something outside of yourself when all of your answers are within. And I know you've heard that before, and I heard that for years, and I'm like, I just roll my eyes back in my head if I hear that one more time. What does it mean that the answers are within? What does that mean? We live in an immutable age. We explode. This is what we do in this age. We need to implode. Aquarius symbol. Pisces symbol. Here's Pisces. Sorry, hold on. Oh, let's do it this way, because he's upside down now. They're doing this now. You need to know that. Their symbol's upside down now. Peter is dying, which is the Vatican. Rome will die. This is Rome. This is Cairo. They substituted this. You can go through Egypt and they have the zodiac. The temples are built along the Nile that are the houses of the zodiac, the different temples and the different gods, earth, water, air, fire. And there's a great treasure if you can find the Pleiades in North Africa. It's the flock. It's the flock. That's us. The flock. The flock is trapped here right now. But we come out over here. Al Nair. We become the flock here. Flock, I call them flock of seagulls. Or seahawks in my case. I guess not a hawk actually, because that more refers to Mercury the messenger. Alright. So Saturn retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Venus retrograde, all in their own houses. One thing that was given to me over and over in my life that I didn't understand, like, go within, know thyself. Like I said, we explode. We need to implode. You explode inside and open your third eye. We release into the atmosphere around us. Mars, adrenaline, anger, even happiness. We love to dance and sing and all these joyous things. Action, which is Mars. But you have to be silent. When you implode, it's just the opposite of explode. They're freaking opposite of one another. It's kind of how I opened my third eye. I imploded. It was absolutely I had no control over my outside life. There was no outrage or nothing. I just imploded. Saturn retrograde, in its own house, in the house of government, abuse of power. Those who are in authority are going to try to take advantage of you. The governments of the world are going to try to take advantage of the people in a massive way. And that will continue through September. And then that'll be finished. No more authoritative abuse of power. But it's fixing to... And right now, this is such a critical time. Everybody's laying all their cards on the table. Jupiter retrograde. These people are thinking outside of the box. You better do that too. This is about ideology and philosophy. The narrative. That's what this is about. And who's going to control it for the next 20 years? And this group, which rules this age of Pisces, they're Jupiterians. Mercurians and Jupiterians rule the mutable cross. Period. But neither one of them have any part in the next 2 ages. There is no Jupiter, there is no Mercury power in the next 2 ages. So they're gonna shoot their wad. They have nothing to lose at this point. Nothing. But they have everything to gain. You know, whatever path we're on come this conjunction, whatever state you're in, whether you're extrovert or introvert, or whether you've learned to pull yourself together, that's how you're going to be for the next 20 years. It's going to be that way for the whole world. But you can forge your own path. That's what they're doing. What they're doing is getting you to forge the path, because it takes groupthink to pull off the big coup. They have to have consent. You have to be in agreement. And they get you to agree by wearing the symbols that are on your freaking clothes, that are on your purses, where you carry your money. Do you think you have MJ purses, Mercury, Jupiter, for no reason? You're empowering them. You come in consent or agreement with the symbol. You spend your money to buy the symbol. There's power in the logo. They tell you that means the word. It means the frickin' symbol of the word is a logo. Advertisers use them. You know, people don't understand. The script writers are in charge. The advertisers are in charge. They decide what your logo is. When you start a new company and you need an ad campaign, and you give them all this money, and they're going to make you rich. And then they start telling lies about your product. They tell you what your colors are, what your symbols are, and the mantra, what your slogan is. And then they hijack media companies to sell these ads. The media companies live on advertising dollars and that promote the lies. Throw your TVs out. Turn them off. If you can't, you know, you can be in this world and not of it. I can turn on the TV and I can't watch it too long and I just walk away from it. But sometimes they're interesting. Sometimes we need to know what's going on. Don't let it affect you. You got to do that. You need to keep your Mars in check. Keep your emotions in check. You need to, you know why you get sick? You get sick because your adrenaline is using all the energy in your body from healing to just, so it can pamper you emotionally. You need the adrenaline because you're all emotionally out of control. Think about what I just told you and think about the emo generation they're putting out there that they've given the microphone to. Who's screaming the loudest? This victimization, this damsel in distress, the undefended one. They're playing all these cards right now. And it looks insane. It really does. You know, Cardinal Earth, that's the best the Earth can get. We're moving into fixed air, which is fixed spirituality, fixed zodiac, based on alchemy, the law of equivalent exchange, or karma. You will reap what you sow. The height of spirituality was the age of Libra, but they became so pious, that age fell into mutable earth. They fell into mutable earth. But when you have a fixed spirituality instead of a cardinal spirituality, you can then move to a cardinal earth or heaven on earth. This is heaven on earth here. A cardinal earth. Too pious, the religious caste got too pious here. And it threw them into mutable earth instead of a apexed cardinal earth. So this teaches us so much. Everything is in here. This is all about our personalities, what kind of everything is in your chart. Let me see if I can find this. No, I can't find it. I had a conversation with somebody in the comment section on a video. I don't even remember what video. But they were asking me about Saturn and why am I saying Saturn's the good guy when 10 out of 10 other religions all say that Jupiter's the good guy and Saturn's the bad guy. So I'm attempting to explain this, and this person's getting kind of hostile, prodding me, and being very direct, which I actually appreciate. And it boiled down to them asking, what can Saturn do for me? You know, if you're looking for desires and what Saturn can do for you in this world, if you're looking for material stuff in this world, then Saturn's not what you're looking for. You need to go to the Vatican. Jupiter rules desire, and that's his seat. If that's what you want, that's where you need to be. Now, so what can Saturn do for me? And it hit me what Saturn does for us. The only thing I ever wanted is the only thing Saturn does. It shows you the way out. The rest of them just keep you on the ride. Saturn shows you the way out. I am the truth. I am the way, and I am the light. You know, Mercury also rules communication. The media, the advertisers. And right now, because he's in upside down world, he's ruling the religions, trade, commerce, which is not money per se. He don't rule gold or silver, but he does rule, he's the middleman. He's the guy that wants a cut that does nothing. He's the tax man. He's the banker. And he's the bad guy. But they've got you fighting each other. As long as you're fighting each other, you'll never fight them. They've lied to you about so many things. This is the fixed cross. That's what we're supposed to be after. But they've told us you're Chris. This is a Chris mark. Make your mark. It's a Chris. That's a cross. Chris, cross. Chris, cross. We've been double crossed. That's what this channel's about. Is you've been double crossed. And this is a bad one here. If Constantine was given a sign and told to conquer, that's it. Because this is the sign for the age of Pisces. And this is the sign to conquer, war. And he looked in the heavens, boom, and that's what he saw. But I look in the heavens and I see the fixed cross. I found the Star of Bethlehem, the way to go in. This is what it teaches. This is all about karma. But all of our information has been tampered with. So we have to... When somebody tells you a truth, a universal truth, you just kind of know it inside. You don't need the evidence. It confirms itself. You know that you know. That's why Aquarius is the age of knowing. And you know because you remember the hippocampus. You remember Markab, which just translates to the horse here, but in the Greek, you get all the medical terminology. All these stars have to do with our mind, our brains, our consciousness. This is our bodies, our spinal system, our nervous system that goes, the 12 that go into the thalamus, that run up the cervical cortex into the thalamus, that activates the pineal gland, which is the door out. It's the way out. You know, even the images, when you look at the different traditions and their images, it tells you a lot. Look at where Saturn is right now. And this is probably one of the oldest images we have of Capricorn that comes out of this tradition. And it's literally, Saturn is sitting in the third eye of the goat right now, while I'm retrograde. The moon is in the throat of the lion. The sun with Venus as she's going retrograde. Gemini moving into his own house. You got 4 of the main characters all in their own house. Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury. Mars in Saturn's house right now. But when Mars moves into Pisces, it's mutation time, it's action time. But Mars can also be extremely volatilely emotional here. Here he's the self-sacrifice, right? Give to others. What can I do for others? But that's fixing to change. And everybody's fixing to become emotionally unstable. almost bipolar when Mars moves through the feminine axis of the mutable cross. Mutable water, this is the peoples. The peoples will become emotionally unstable. And then, after they get everybody all riled up, he comes into Aries. War. So this will be the most auspicious time. But when he finally makes it around into Cancer, that's when everything will cool down. And he'll go into debilitation. After another being unstable again on that masculine axis. But here, this transference from here to here, let's just go ahead and look. Let's take him on a journey. He is currently in Aquarius, so the instability begins on the 25th of June, right after the solstice. Right after the solstice, which begins the major dance between Saturn and Jupiter. And they're both still in retrograde motion. And the instability will only increase. Let's see when he hits Aries. Oh, he went retrograde. Oh my goodness. Into Pisces. So that's what stops the war. I was wondering what's stopping that. It's going to go past, it's going to be right on, coming after the solstice. Keep going. January the 5th, 2021. And that will continue. I want to take him to match this star. Let me do this. Right there. On February the 12th, 2021, Mars comes in alignment with the Ghoul or Algol. It is the most evil star. It's the eye of Medusa that turns the Kraken to stone. So, and that is part of the Aries constellation. So, very date to look at right there as well. So, he will be leaving Aries. Oh, wrong. On the 23rd of that February. So from the 5th of January, when he comes into Aries, which is after the solstice and after the election, but before the inauguration, all hell's gonna break loose. Remember, we get to carry this through 6/21. So let's take him and find when he enters Cancer. So I'm just going to kick it up by months. Right there. So right before the summer solstice of 2021, which will make the seal complete for that Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, 6 months coming into it, the conjunction, and then 6 months coming out. This will be the end of it. Right after this, Mars goes into debilitation. Absolutely no war. No war. And at that time, Saturn is full in control of Jupiter, and Jupiter is still in Saturn's house of Aquarius. But Saturn's in full control by then. And that's when things will start calming down a little bit. This is the date right before that final seal on the 21. Right there, it's a done deal. And our lives for the next 20 years will be set in the stars. We made our choices, whether in the groups that we belong to as a collective, as people, as races, as tribes and tongues, as nations, as states, as communities, and as individuals. You need to get your vibrations set. Let's come back to now. Now, you know, up till this point, from the time of the eclipse, it was across the United States, and we're coming to the halfway point between the two eclipses that make the big transmutation X across the United States. We're going through the war part, but when we get to the winter solstice and then it's sealed on the next summer solstice, then we begin building, and we build a new government. A lot of things are gonna change in the next 4 years to complete the seal, the next eclipse. And that's going to set the stage for the next generation, the next 100 years, the next 72 years for sure, for at least the next degree of the heavens, which is 72 years. And that's how this thing works. There's patterns to it that we can learn, that we can know, that we can follow. It's once you get used to it and playing with it and looking at it as an alchemical circle of nature, you realize it seems crazy, but it's perfect in itself. That there's a perfection about nature that in this time, in this age that we live in, very few they don't see it. They fail to see it. When I was very small growing up on the farm, I was in awe of nature, learning how a big mighty oak grows from that acorn, or the pecan grows the pecan tree, the corn seed. It just amazed me that one seed could produce thousands of itself. Just on one stalk, there'd be 5 or 6 ears, and there would just be hundreds of them on there. I was just amazed by all of that. It's alive to me. It's living. It talks to us all the time in symbology and through this circle. Saturn rules nature. Capricorn. And all script is good for knowledge if you read it as scripts of the heavens. And then know thyself, that all of us have a zodiac in our head. We have one in our body. Our chakras connect it all. It affects us. And the more you get to know it, they should teach our children this. So to know thyself is to follow the way. You learn alchemy and astrology. Aquarius, it's what it's all about. Get in the know. Get in the know now. From Aquarius, Capricorn, of course, ruling karma. And when a lot of traditions from some of the Vedic, they teach that when Saturn goes retrograde, that's karma time. And he's going retrograde in his own house of Capricorn. So it's karma time. And it's karma time for yourselves as well, for us as well, when Saturn goes retrograde. The government's going to be very abusive in its power. Those in authority, policemen, the military, our clergy, everybody that's in authority over us, or that we give our authority to, the governments. Yeah, they're going to try to, there's going to be massive abuse of power headed our way, or attempted abuse, but it'll straighten all of itself out. But it's karma time. So those of you who have banked your karma, prepare to collect. And those who did not, try to bank good karma towards yourself. It's time to remember. Remembering comes with this, and that's one thing about karma. Karma brings it back to your memory, because karma can sit on something for a long time before you end up paying for that. So it's pay time, one way or the other. When it goes retrograde, those are the little moments that we get to actually reap what we sow, whether they be good or whether they be bad. Jupiter retrograde, thinking outside of the box, which is really necessary right now. So right now we've got 3 weeks. Venus, is she going to come out of her? Nope, she don't even make it out of her retrograde before then. We have the summer solstice, which begins the seal, and we have an eclipse on the summer solstice. Right there. Right as we come into it. And it's over the sun pillar in Freemasonry. It is on the summer solstice. I can't tell you how I've done this over and over again about this year, and how this starts here. And it starts, we look at this as part of the age of Taurus. When we look at Orion, but not all of it's in Taurus. That's in Gemini, when you look at the heavens the proper way. But ruled under the Freemasons. Anyway, auspicious day. It begins here. And it goes from 1 year back to here. It makes a seal. Every year makes a seal. And this year, it begins here. We go to the winter solstice, where we have the Sun-Mercury conjunction, Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, with Mars in Pisces. And that is live long and prosper. And our hearts in the house of our friends will be with our friends. And that's this. It goes back around to the next summer solstice, and the seal is finished. And it is what it is. And Mars, no war. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. Anybody that starts a war here, it ends really fast. They lose. Whoever throws the first stone is done. We can look at the spring. Going to have a Sun-Venus conjunction. Venus is exalted here. So our spring equinox, we have the Sun-Venus exalted, Mercury in Aquarius, Saturn in control of Jupiter. Let's go to back it up. Our next marker is going to be from the summer solstice to the fall equinox. This is the fall equinox. Mercury is exalted here. So, and this is Mercury's house. So whatever's going to go down come September, there's money to be made. Jupiter and Saturn barreling out. Yep, and Mars fixing to move into Aries. So you can see what they've got planned. But it doesn't play out the way they want it to. The bankers, Mercury, also rules the pharmaceutical industry. And their retrograde symbol. Yeah, he does, through hermetics, right? So if they're banking on war and their little pharmaceutical industry. You see how they're all tied together. Mercury rules advertising. He's ruling communications, which is the entertainment. He rules the banks. He rules the pharmacies, which insurance is all tied up into that. You don't insure yourself through going inward, open your pineal gland, heal yourself. We can't do any of that anymore. We're being shut down. And they use our adrenaline to do that. The adrenal gland shuts down the pineal gland. Can't stress it enough. Can't stress it enough. Find a quiet place. Find a way to keep your Mars in Cancer. Just to keep it under control. Or keep it in Capricorn. Here it's debilitated. If you keep it in Capricorn, you better be in good control of it. Because there you can actually get work done, or you can, destruction, Cancer, creation. You can really build a beautiful world there. But mutable here, and then moving into that cardinal raging fire, right in the middle of all this. You can see how crazy this year is going to be. It's like no other. And back to our go point. Which is 3 weeks from now. You've got 3 weeks and then the show begins. So whatever you're going to do, or whatever you want to be doing, that's what you need to be preparing for right now. And inwardly, you need to find a frequency. You need to find a happy place. You need to find your neutral place. You need to find that middle pillar within yourself. And this is how long you've got to do it, because this seal begins on June the 21st. Alright people, you know what to do. And all of you who donate to this channel, thank you. You're a part of this. You're helping more than you could ever know. And those of you who hadn't, I know it's hard times, but consider it. Be a part of this. We all do what we can do. Don't put yourself out, by no means. But if you have a little extra, think about giving. It'll come back to you.